In pro wrestling, not every character is a choice. Sometimes wrestlers are forced to use gimmicks that can ruin momentum, frustrate talent, and kill careers. Those are some wrestlers couldn't stand the roles they were given and weren't afraid to show it. First, we have Cody Rhodes, Stardust. In professional wrestling, a character, or gimmick, is everything. It's not just what you do in the ring, it's how you're seen, how you're remembered, and whether the crowd buys into your story. The right gimmick can turn a career into a legacy. Just look at Stone Cold, The Rock, The Undertaker. But the wrong one, it can do the opposite. It can hold you back, embarrass you, and strip you of everything that makes you unique. Behind the bright lights and big entrances are wrestlers who were stuck, playing roles they never believed in, doing promos they hated, and performing night after night as someone they weren't proud of. They smiled for the crowd, but behind the scenes, they wanted out. And that's exactly what happened with Cody Rhodes and the infamous Stardust gimmick. In 2014, WWE introduced a new direction for Cody, the Stardust character. Decked out in a tight, glittery bodysuit with silver face paint, Cody was rebranded as a cosmic oddball, a sidekick to his real-life brother Goldust. At first, he embraced it. He went all in with the voice, the theatrical poses, the galactic mannerisms. He tried to make it work, but deep down, he hated it. Cody came from wrestling royalty. His father, Dusty Rhodes, was one of the most respected figures in the industry. Cody wanted to carry that legacy forward, not be remembered as a cartoon character. He pitched new ideas, asked to evolve the gimmick, and begged creative to let him show his true self. WWE said no, again and again. Eventually, the line between Cody and Stardust blurred, even in real life. He stopped appearing in public as Cody Rhodes. He felt trapped inside a gimmick that was never his. In 2016, he finally said enough and walked away from WWE. A bold move, but the right one. He went out on his own, rebuilt his name, co-founded AEW, headlined around the world, and returned to WWE years later with no paint, no gimmick, no Stardust. Just Cody Rhodes, the way he was always meant to be. 9. Jon Moxley, Gas Mask, heel Dean Ambrose. In late 2018, WWE turned Dean Ambrose heel, a move that initially excited fans anticipating a grittier, more intense character. However, the execution fell flat. Ambrose was saddled with a gimmick that had him wearing a gas mask, delivering promos about the filthy WWE universe, and receiving vaccinations on live television. These segments were widely criticized for their lack of seriousness and coherence. Jon Moxley, formerly known as Dean Ambrose, has openly expressed his dissatisfaction with this creative direction. He felt the character was a goofy fake mask that didn't align with his vision of a compelling heel persona. This frustration contributed to his decision to leave WWE in 2019. Upon joining AEW, Moxley shed the Ambrose moniker and embraced a more authentic, unfiltered version of himself, quickly becoming a top star and AEW World Champion. This transformation underscored the importance of creative freedom and authenticity in a wrestler's success. 8. Steve Austin, the Ringmaster. Before he was Stone Cold, Steve Austin entered WWE under a character that nearly derailed his entire career. The Ringmaster. Positioned as a skilled, no-nonsense wrestler, he was handed a gimmick that was cold, quiet, and entirely forgettable. With slicked back hair and no opportunity to speak for himself, Austin was paired with Ted DiBiase, who served as his mouthpiece. But the persona didn't reflect who Steve Austin was, and he knew it. Behind the scenes, Austin was growing frustrated. He had spent years developing a sharp edge, raw intensity, and a unique voice that was being silenced under the Ringmaster branding. So he started pushing for change. He cut his hair, dropped the name, and reimagined himself as Stone Cold, inspired by a ruthless, no-frills mentality that better matched his real personality. Then came King of the Ring, 1996. After defeating Jake the Snake Roberts, Austin delivered the now legendary Austin 316 promo. That night, the Ringmaster died, and Stone Cold Steve Austin was born. The quiet technician became the toughest, most rebellious anti-hero in wrestling history. Austin's rejection of a gimmick he didn't believe in wasn't just a career decision. It was the beginning of a cultural shift in WWE. He proved that when you stop playing a part and start being yourself, fans will follow. 7. Dustin Rhodes, early Goldust. Dustin Rhodes is forever linked to the name Goldust, a character that became one of the most unique and controversial personas in WWE history. But what many fans don't realize is just how difficult that transformation was. especially in the early years. When Goldust debuted in 1995, he wasn't just bizarre, he was shocking. Draped in gold and black, moving with eerie, almost seductive gestures and cutting ambiguous promos, Goldust was unlike anything WWE had ever presented. The gimmick pushed boundaries of sexuality and gender expression at a time when the industry wasn't ready for it. For Dustin, the son of wrestling legend Dusty Rhodes, it was a massive departure from his upbringing. He came from a traditional wrestling background and was suddenly being asked to portray something that was meant to confuse and provoke. Behind the scenes, it wasn't easy. He's admitted openly that the character challenged him mentally and emotionally. It made him uncomfortable. He didn't fully understand it at first, and worse, neither did the audience. But over time, something changed. Dustin began to take control of Goldust. He infused the character with layers: sadness, vulnerability, passion, and even humor. He pushed through personal demons and professional doubt, and the once controversial gimmick evolved into a compelling, multi-dimensional persona. Goldust became a cult favorite, respected for his longevity, creativity, and commitment. Dustin Rhodes took a role that could have easily failed or faded away, and he turned it into something unforgettable. He didn't just play Goldust, he became it on his terms. 6. The Rock, Rocky Maivia. Before he was the most electrifying man in sports entertainment, Dwayne Johnson was Rocky Maivia, a smiling, baby-faced blue chipper with a perfect pedigree. Third-generation wrestler, charismatic looks, and athletic talent. On paper, he had everything WWE wanted in a star. But there was just one major problem. The fans hated it. When Rocky debuted in 1996, he was pushed hard as a clean-cut hero, complete with bright tassels, a constant smile, and forced optimism. WWE hoped fans would embrace the next big thing, but instead the crowd turned on him. They booed him mercilessly. Die, Rocky, die! And Rocky Sucks became the soundtrack to his early career. It wasn't just rejection, it was brutal, and it left a lasting impact on him. What made it worse was that Rocky hated the gimmick too. It didn't reflect who he really was. He wasn't a cookie-cutter good guy. He had edge, confidence, real personality, but WWE's creative machine wanted him to follow the script. For a while, he played along, doing what was asked, hoping things would turn around. They didn't. Eventually, he knew it had to change. After some time away from TV, he returned with a new persona, one that reflected him. He joined the Nation of Domination, adopted a cockier, ruthless attitude, and embraced his real voice. The transformation was electric. The Rock was born, and the crowd flipped. He went from being one of the most hated to one of the most loved, simply by being authentic. This shift didn't just save his career, like it launched it into the stratosphere. The Rock became one of the biggest stars the industry has ever seen, and it all started by walking away from a gimmick that never fit. 5. Bray Wyatt, The Fiend, later run. When Bray Wyatt unveiled The Fiend in 2019, it was hailed as one of the most innovative gimmicks WWE had seen in years. It wasn't just a character, it was an experience. The chilling mask, the creepy Firefly Funhouse segments, the haunting entrance music, everything about it felt fresh, terrifying, and unforgettable. Fans were hooked, and for a brief moment, it looked like WWE had lightning in a bottle. But that spark didn't last. As the months went on, WWE leaned harder into the supernatural aspects of the character. The Fiend began appearing in red lighting for entire matches. He no-sold finishers, became almost invincible, and slowly started crossing the line from frightening to cartoonish. The mystique that once made him so compelling began to fade. And the final blow? A quick, confusing loss to Goldberg at Super Showdown. A booking decision that left fans stunned and frustrated. Behind the scenes, Bray Wyatt was reportedly disheartened. He wasn't just a performer, he was the creative mind behind The Fiend. The layers, the symbolism, the horror-inspired storytelling, that was all him. He wanted to explore darkness and mental complexity, not just jump scares and gimmick lighting, but the creative control he initially had started slipping away. WWE's direction didn't align with his vision, and it showed. The Fiend became a victim of overbooking and creative disconnect. What started as a groundbreaking reinvention turned into a series of bizarre, inconsistent storylines that dulled its impact. The deeper meaning and psychological horror Bray had in mind were replaced with spectacle, and fans could feel it. Bray Wyatt's story with The Fiend serves as a powerful reminder. No matter how brilliant a gimmick may be, it can't survive if the creative vision behind it isn't protected. In the end, The Fiend wasn't a failure. It was a missed opportunity that deserved better. 3. Triple H, Hunter Hearst Helmsley. Before he was the game, Triple H was a cartoon. When Paul Levesque made his WWE debut in 1995, he was cast as Hunter Hearst Helmsley, a prissy blue blood from Greenwich, Connecticut. His gimmick was all pomp and snobbery, complete with fancy entrance music, lace cuffs, and a fake aristocratic accent. He'd curtsy in the ring, ring, sneer at the crowd, and preach about manners. It was more soap opera villain than wrestling superstar, and while Triple H committed to the role, the character never truly connected. The snobby gimmick felt out of place in an era that was shifting toward grit and realism. Behind the scenes, Paul Levesque was a driven, intense athlete with a real edge. But that didn't translate through the high society persona. It was a polished surface with no depth. Everything changed in 1997. After forming D-Generation X with Shawn Michaels, Triple H shed the aristocrat image and embraced something far more authentic, himself. The transformation was night and day. Gone was the cravat-wearing heel. In his place stood a brash, sarcastic, and rebellious force of nature. This version of Triple H didn't curtsy. He cracked crude jokes, smashed taboos, and helped lead WWE into its edgiest, most lucrative era, the Attitude Era. The impact was immediate and explosive. Free from the shackles of a gimmick that never suited him, Triple H found his voice, his edge, and ultimately his path to greatness. He evolved from DX troublemaker to world champion to the cerebral assassin, and finally the real-life executive shaping WWE's future. Looking back, Hunter Hearst Helmsley was more than just a bad gimmick. It was a lesson, a reminder that even future legends can start with the wrong identity. But when they break free and tap into something real, that's when greatness happens. 2. CM Punk. Early WWE straight edge babyface. When CM Punk first arrived in WWE in 2006 through the revamped ECW brand, fans of the independent scene were buzzing. Punk wasn't just another wrestler, he was a movement. Straight edge, fiercely original, and brutally honest, he had captivated audiences in promotions like Ring of Honor with his authenticity and sharp tongue. But WWE had other plans. Instead of letting him speak his mind or develop his character naturally, the company presented Punk as a generic, smiling babyface. His straight edge lifestyle, no drugs, no alcohol, no vices, was treated more like a surface-level slogan than a true philosophy. WWE stripped him of the edge that made him unique and handed him scripted promos that lacked soul. To Punk, it was stifling. To fans who knew his potential, it was frustrating. Despite this, Punk worked hard. He climbed the ladder, won titles, and delivered in the ring. But creatively, he was boxed in. He wasn't the voice of the voiceless yet. He was just another face in the crowd, forced to play by rules that didn't fit him. That all changed in 2011. Frustrated and fed up, Punk dropped the now legendary pipe bomb promo, a moment that shattered the fourth wall and redefined his career. Speaking from the heart, he aired his real-life grievances live on national television, criticizing the system, calling out the power players, and declaring war on the scripted machine holding him back. That promo wasn't just a storyline. It was a release. It was CM Punk, finally becoming CM Punk. From that point on, everything changed. Punk became the anti-hero fans had been waiting for. He wasn't polished or packaged. He was raw, real, and dangerous. His historic 434-day WWE Championship reign followed, and he cemented his place as one of the most influential figures of his era. The early gimmick he hated, the forced smiles, the censored promos, became the fuel for his revolution. And when he finally took the mic into his own hands, the world listened.